Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Harmony Nice and today I'm going to be doing a video about loving your face and also discussing kind of changing your relationship with makeup a little bit more. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story, coming to a place where I am happy with my natural face. Also, I'm going to be giving some tips in this video as well on how you can be more comfortable with your face, how I personally learned to love my face a little bit more. Just kind of having like a candid chat about this subject in general. I've been requested this subject a lot since I kind of cut down wearing makeup. More importantly, people are asking like how I managed to cut down wearing makeup and stuff a little bit more, since a lot of people are very interested in stopping wearing makeup or trying to be a little bit more natural or stuff like that for various amounts of reasons. But that's kind of not what I want to talk about too much today. I want to discuss to you guys how to be happy without makeup, and then basically with that being able to make more conscious decisions with your makeup and why you're doing your makeup, so you don't allow it to become a control in your life like I did. This video isn't about like hating makeup, because I am a makeup lover. I still now do wear a little bit of makeup occasionally. Usually my everyday is like a little bit of cheek tint. I'm somebody that believes that makeup should be used as a form of expression. I think express yourself in any way that you want. We're not anti-makeup here. This is just something that I feel like when I did, like for me personally, when I cut down on makeup, that was something that was an extremely right decision for me. But I'm not saying that it is right for everybody else, because for me it just felt like something that I really wanted to do for myself. That is just more about being content and happy with your face in general. Sorry if the lighting has changed a little bit. I just turned some lights on because I noticed it was very dark in here. This video is purely relevant to my journey, so I don't think that every single tip that I give to you guys on here is going to be relevant to all of you. I definitely think when it comes to personal growth journeys, accepting your body, accepting your face, it's all a massive process that takes ups and downs, like wanting to do different things in your personal growth journey to get there. For me, it was definitely like a more clicking thing in my head where I suddenly just got that feeling that I was okay with my face and that I suddenly kind of didn't really care. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of touch on with you guys today is why it's important to love your face. I mean, it's kind of obvious like why it's important to love your face, because loving yourself, genuinely, I feel like one of the most important steps to growth and being able to grow and start to kind of accept things a little bit more and then grow with things around you, and then suddenly your appearance and everything like that becomes so it's like an addition and not like the most relevant thing in the whole entire world. And I'm not speaking for everybody, because I know a lot of people haven't been as heavily involved in social media as I have, and I've definitely had more appearance issues than most people, I would probably say. I think it's a step to like accepting yourself and also bringing acceptance into your life, bringing that realistic standard into your life and not expecting the absolute world from yourselves, and also just being able to flow with things a bit more naturally and not get caught up in little things. I think that's obviously important. The like media in general does want people to dislike themselves so that they can sell products. So their natural reaction is to get a dopamine hit from buying something. Or, you know, there's been so many documentaries and stuff recently discussing how they pin ads against you. That can lead to people having massive insecurity with their face. It also helps me be able to express myself more artistically, because then I'm putting my energy into my creativity more than worrying about like how people are viewing me constantly, and more focusing on my energy and things that serve my soul purpose instead of serving a physical purpose. Moving into my story, I'm not going to stick on this for a long time, but I had appearance issues from a very young age because I would get a lot of comments on my appearance when I was young, because I obviously had like bright red curly hair. I was very skinny when I was young and very pale, and I would get so many comments of people, like even from a child, asking my mum if my hair was real. And then when I got to high school, I think like on my first day, I genuinely just thought to myself like that you had to wear makeup as soon as you got to high school, because I obviously saw like all these girls wearing makeup. I think I remember on my first day of high school being like 12 years old, putting on some makeup, and my mum coming in and being like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to put makeup on. And I was like, oh god damn it, please mum, let me wear makeup. I think that kind of pressure got worse because I was in quite a few unhealthy relationships as a teenage girl. I would get hurt quite a lot. I was kind of bullied quite a lot by a few people. I mean, I wasn't exactly the best person to be around as a teenager, and I think for me, like, looking good and kind of putting myself on a pedestal helped me kind of overcome whatever was going on in my life. I think that was something for me that I really wanted to do. I was like, well, if I can just like be somebody else, if I can just like be a different person and make myself into a different person, then I'll be happy with my face. And it's kind of sad to hear now, like that's why I do lots of like inner child and inner teen healing work. I feel for that teenager, you know, I feel for that kind of person that was feeling that way at that time. I definitely think it was like media pressure too. I think as I kind of got a bit older than that, like when I started to kind of be on social media a little bit more, I definitely think social media was a pressure too. I think as I kind of got bigger on Instagram and bigger on YouTube, the pressure definitely grew. It went from like wearing makeup, expressing myself, to like always having this base makeup of like loads, like heavy, thick eyelashes and like loads of eyeshadow, contoured face, you know, contoured chin, because I was quite insecure about my chin. I always thought I had a weak jawline. I had like quite a few traumatic events happen in my teens. I definitely think for some reason I got like a weird association with it, which like if I felt like I looked good, then like everything was okay. Like it was weird. It's like I put so much base and pressure on myself, especially as I got bigger on social media, because I felt like it was so important. I was just like, well, people aren't gonna like me if I don't look a certain way, I don't do things a certain way. And I was terrified of feeling less valuable. I kind of got to a point where, I think it was like a year ago, when you guys probably saw it, that every month I would suddenly have this like time where I'd just be like, I just want to stop wearing makeup. Like I just really want to stop wearing makeup to kind of reclaim that part of me back, because I had gained such an unhealthy relationship with it, because I felt so unvaluable without makeup on. Like I felt like the whole time I was dating people, I had quite a lot of scrutiny on my tattoos and stuff, so I was really insecure about like the way that I looked, and I would just wear it as like a necessity and be like, well, this makes me look good, so keep me feeling good. And then I'd come back every month and be like, but it just doesn't feel like me anymore, and it would feel less and less like me that as the months go by, which is why you guys probably saw me put on like Instagram and YouTube like lesser makeup tutorials. I just think because I was on social media so much and scrolling and everything like that, that I kind of started to believe that I felt like the way that things looked was the only thing that mattered. So it kind of was like that with like life too. I think you guys probably knew that I got like a bit of an unhealthy when they just do things just to get a picture for Instagram, because it's addictive, you know, hence why like I literally have like this phone now and don't scroll through social media anymore. I think I just had that feeling where I was like, how everything appears and how everything looks is the most important thing. Like it almost like I forgot that it was supposed to serve you, and it was supposed to serve like a substance to you, and you were supposed to do things that kind of allowed you to reach your higher self and allowed you to feel more whole. Like I kind of didn't even realise that like no matter what I achieve, no matter how people see me, no matter what happens, it will never serve like my sole purpose. Like only I can serve my sole purpose, and only I can, by actually truly loving what I'm doing and truly loving everything around me and being present and being here, that I can be happy. Whereas I think for a while I definitely put the two together and just thought, well, if I'm just happy with my appearance, then I'll be happy with everything else. Or if I'm just happy with how like my Instagram looks, it sounds so insane now like saying this, because I think a lot of people are just like, what the fuck, especially if you don't have an unhealthy relationship with things like that. So because of all of that, I kind of reached a place where 5 months ago, at the start of, I think end of April, most of you guys may know if you've seen that I took a break or whatever for about like a month and a half. I took a break from social media. It was because I didn't have like a a breakdown, but I had like this huge upheave of emotions and realizations where I was like, well, this keeps coming back every month and I'm so unhappy. Like, I felt so trapped in what I was doing. I felt so trapped in social media and so trapped in this cycle of being unhappy with myself, and I was like, why does this keep coming back? Why do I hate myself so much? Why am I so trapped in this cycle of just feeling like shit, buying stuff, trying to like self-medicate the pain, and then coming back to this place again? And then I kind of reached a point where I was like, it's just enough. It didn't resonate with my morals as a person. It didn't resonate with like what made my heart light up. I kind of spent some time reading and educating myself and rediscovering who I was, because I felt like I'd lost myself so much. And during that month, I didn't wear any makeup and I became really comfortable with my face. And I'd recognise that any time that I would feel rubbish about myself was when I would spend a lot of time on social media. Because I became so comfortable with myself, I really started to just like the way that I looked. But I was taking this break, I was still not quite sure what I was going to do about wearing makeup, because that was still like an issue that I would still feel. I would still be like, well, I really want to be comfortable with my face.
Just a little button here. I think during that month as well, it kind of didn't even matter what I looked like anymore. It was not like I was like overly in love with the way that I looked, but because I was reading like a lot of like ego loss books, I just became like accepting of it. I was just like, I just don't have the same attachment that I did before with how people viewed me, etc. So I think it was more that than being like, I really like my face. I thought I'd just put in there.
I enjoy doing like little 90s makeup and stuff like that, and I think it was like that for quite a while, which is why it became more of a necessity than it did like an expressionist thing. I like once during that whole month I decided to put on makeup and I hated it. Like, I absolutely hated it. It just suddenly didn't feel like me anymore. And I went through like a bit of a weird phase where I was like dreading to wear makeup when I came back to YouTube, because I was like, oh, it doesn't feel like me anymore. It just really doesn't feel like something that I want to do.
Again, butting in, but during that month, I feel like because it was like a big breakthrough in my spiritual journey, it was like my brain and body was like forcing me to be myself so I could kind of start worrying about other things, if that makes sense. It was kind of like getting that out of the way for me, and it was weird. It was like I just wanted to just like be more comfortable with myself no matter what that was and accept it, because I've had such a hard time accepting who I was, I think.
But I'm so scared that I'm gonna feel really insecure when I go back to YouTube, and like, what if suddenly people just don't like me anymore and all of that. And I had all these insecurities, and then I just had like a big realization where I was suddenly like, I just don't care. It's not like I don't care about YouTube, it's not like I don't care about anything like that. There was like a point for me where I was suddenly just like, you need to be happy with yourself. It doesn't matter if anybody else is so concerned about what you're doing. And that was another thing as well. I don't think people were concerned about what I was doing. That's like another like ego thing, isn't it? Just like thinking that everybody is so concerned with what you're doing all the time. I actually don't think it matters, because I was so miserable that I was just like, if I don't just do something for myself. Like for me, when I picture my higher self before like everything happened, before insecurity got to me, before all of that, and for me like accepting my face was a big journey for me through that, because for such a long time I put such huge pressure on myself to look a certain way and be a certain way and to present myself a certain way, that I really forgot about a lot of other things that were important. Just take like a massive emphasis of like worrying so much about the way that I look all the time and put it onto other things, put it into my creativity, put it into my livelihood. After that, I also had a conversation with my little sister about my hair and like putting spiritual emphasis on my hair while like damaging it too, which is why I decided to like start wearing it curly and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not sure if that's relevant to everybody, but for me it definitely was. Again, personal journeys, personal choices forced me to be happier with just my natural hair. With that, I remember I had a day when we spoke about it, and then I came home and I was feeling pretty low because I was like, oh, like what am I gonna do? And then I got home and I dried my hair curly in the way that she said that I should, to make it actually go curly instead of just being like flat and frizzy, which it kind of is today, but whatever. I wore like a tiny bit of mascara. She said just put like a little bit of mascara so you feel like more refreshed. and then I just looked in the mirror and cried because I felt so me. And I think also like doing inner child work after that helped a lot, because I mean, I would never sit there and tell my inner child that they're ugly, you know, and the way they look isn't good enough, because you just can't do it. You just can't tell your inner child that. You can't bully them like that. So I think that also kind of helped me progressively be like happier with the way that I look, accepting my face a little bit more, and also just making better conscious choices with my makeup and my decisions and stuff, and taking that massive emphasis on what I look like. I still enjoy wearing a little bit, but it's more for like refreshing reasons. Like I like to moisturize, use lots of skincare. If I'm going out, I'll wear some glitter on my eyeshadow and my eyes, but it's not really to like look any better, because it doesn't change my appearance at all, like wearing eyeshadow. That's kind of my natural flow into it. That's been probably a large portion of this video. So now we're going to be discussing tips and things that I have and advice that I have for starting your process into loving your face a little bit more. Really the goal for me was being able to wake up, and if I didn't have time to put makeup on, then I would feel just as good without makeup on than I would with a little bit of makeup on. Just to use makeup for an expression. It depends what relationship you have with makeup, and again, I'm not saying that wearing makeup's bad, and I think using it for an expression is one of the most powerful things that you can do with it. Now we're just going to move on to tips. These might not all be relevant to you. These are just kind of little things that I discovered through my journey and that month that I spent without wearing makeup, and also like after, like what I kind of realised helped me be more comfortable like accepting my face. I want to do one about body as well, because I think that was two different things for me. So if you guys would like to see one about accepting your body too, I would love to do that as well. So the first tip that I've got on this list is work out why you don't feel good without makeup / with your natural skin. I think for me, something that I was quite shocked by and that I found like incredibly silly and stupid was when I realised the reason I was wearing makeup was for like necessity. And when I actually broke it down, like none of actually the reasons why I was wearing makeup, or like heavy makeup, or changing my face, or being unhappy with my face, were actually things that were always to do with somebody else, or like some stupid reason, and I'd like rationalise them and be like, well yeah, you can't do that because of that. Or you have a right to feel that way, and like obviously you do have a right to feel that way, you have a right and have a purpose to feel whatever emotion you do. It did definitely help when I broke it down, because then I think I was suddenly like, well that's dumb, like why am I doing that to myself? Why am I putting myself down in that way and then holding other people to the different standards? Something that I did first, or I noticed things that would kind of like suddenly have like an anxious thought about not liking my face. So like I would note down like when it would happen. Like I think journaling is an incredible thing, and I think when you're going through any personal process, keeping a journal of like progression and stuff is always a good idea. When I'd suddenly start to feel insecure, I'd write it down and I'd just recognise what happened. And then I think minimising that also helps. So like something for me that also helped was that I realised that when I look at specific people on social media, maybe promoted like things that I weren't 100% morally on board with, that I would kind of be like, hey, let's unfollow them. And I started to follow more positive people that maybe had women that just loved their bodies no matter what was going on with them. And so something else that kind of helped me work out why I didn't feel so good about that was also reading confidence books, female confidence books, especially for obviously me. Quite interesting to kind of read other people's, other women's like perspectives on why they became unhappy with their face and or why they were unhappy with their body. It was quite helpful to kind of read that and get other people's perspectives, because then I kind of understood where mine was coming from a little bit more too. So yeah, and also listening to confidence podcasts as well, I feel like really helped me, because again, just getting that perspective from other people and realising that a lot of your insecurities and stuff, like lots of people have. And I think for me that also put things in perspective for me about people caring so much, because, and it almost reminded me again that the world doesn't revolve around me. Like I know that sounds silly, and I know it's like, oh my god, yeah, obviously Harmony, but like I think we do get caught up in believing that like what we do, especially about silly things, because I think being a positive person and stuff is very different. Something so minor like the way that we look is not something that's gonna change people's opinions on us. Something else that I found really helpful, which is something that I do a lot during journaling, and also at the start of my kind of self-discovery journey when I kind of got more into working out why I was still unhappy after a year of therapy and all of that, and why I still kind of felt like a bit trapped, was mind mapping. So mind mapping is something that I do quite a lot, and it's really good to work out mind mapping for like your higher self, and to work out possibly like your morals and things that you believe in, standards that you hold for yourself, things that make your heart light up, things that you really truly believe in. You know, when you're kind of younger and you just first start to get into everything just for you and it's really exciting, base it off that feeling of just like getting into stuff, being excited about stuff and everything, and not worrying about whether it's going to make you look more interesting or anything like that. Like noticing the difference of how you're living, what standards you hold yourself to kind of to live more authentically. That really helped as well. When you live more authentically to yourself, that does help you stay more present, and therefore makes you feel more content. And also just helps you like identify things that are more important to you than that. And also working out like what type of makeup that you like. I think for me, I always like admired those girls that wore like just blue eyeliner and nothing else, and I'm kind of like, I really like just like girls that are like naturally just them. They're just effortlessly them no matter what they do, and I think something that kind of runs with themes of people that are just like effortlessly themselves is they accept that their minds will change. And some days you may fancy wearing makeup, some days you may not, and you don't have to like identify yourself as one thing. I don't know, I think it's just like working out how to like get that flow going of just being like okay with what comes to you, and not getting caught up and having to just do one thing and just be one thing. And also just kind of like working out whether it is an issue as well. I think something that was kind of helpful towards me was kind of working out like whether when I didn't wear makeup I felt lesser than, or whether like what the issues were when I wasn't wearing makeup, and identifying that and working out again whether they aligned with my moral beliefs, whether they aligned with actually what I believed, or whether they were insecurities. And also something that as well kind of got to me during that month was every single time I would take a selfie or like try to like look in my inner camera and I wasn't wearing any makeup, I'd suddenly instantly be like, oh god, like I look so awful, like pulling down my eye bag. Started to kind of realise that my relationship with social media needed to change, and the fact that I didn't need to constantly post selfies to like uphold a social media presence, and that I had more to give and more interesting things that I wanted to look into other than just pictures of me. Because like I felt good up until I went to take a selfie, and I think that's like sad that a lot of people feel that way. I just don't feel like it's necessary to constantly post selfies of yourself. Like obviously if it's an art thing and you do it as an expression, you might be one of those people that has one of those makeup pages that love to do makeup. That's totally cool, but I think if you are just posting like selfies and just like being like, this is where I'm getting my gratification from, my dopamine hits, then you need to kind of work out whether it's necessary to do that, whether you can change your relationship with social media, use it in a different way, and whether that will benefit how you feel about yourself. So the next tip that I would recommend, which is like the mothership, I would say, is spend a month without makeup. So I know what you guys are thinking, hell to the motherfucking nah, and that is exactly what I felt. And I think because I was in lockdown, I had it a lot easier, because I don't think I could have gone through social media. That's why I basically, well, that wasn't the reason I took a break, but one of the reasons that I felt so lucky to be able to have a break during that time, because I'm aware it's just not possible for some people to take a month off and just get used to my face. But again, if social media seems to be like a sort of thing that makes you insecure as soon as you go on it about your face and stuff like that, also just spend a month off social media, or spend a month not posting on social media or something like that. Because I think for me it took me time to get used to my face again and not see all the flaws. I think just spending every day with my face, noticing that I didn't have as many flaws as I didn't, and like also noticing that when I got more sleep I just looked more awake, and that it just kind of depended on my mood how I felt like how I looked. So I do think having a time period where you're literally just like stripped bare. Get into skincare. Something that really helped me was a big thought that I had in my head about the insecurity about not wearing makeup is feeling like I looked really tired and feeling like I looked lifeless, because when I would take makeup off and my skin would be all tired, that would be like my main insecurity. So like I still wanted to feel refreshed. I wanted to do something in the morning that made me feel like I was still like preparing my skin. So I felt refreshed, if anything, not even looked refreshed, but felt refreshed. Was getting into skincare, so I kind of started to do daily or every other day face masks in the morning, and I would apply moisturizer, and then it wasn't plumping cream, so it's not cream that like makes your skin like feel all weird, but it was just like really heavily moisturizing cream that I put underneath my eyes and all over my lips, so I felt like I had done something that just kind of refreshed me and made me feel good. If you're ready, something else that I do that kind of relates to spending a month without makeup is clearing out. I think something that I did that was really great was giving my makeup to my little sister and saying, don't give this back to me till this month is up. I think that was a really good idea that I did, just kind of like left it there and just had some nice skin products to use. And then I like had a few products which I will speak to you about in a minute, but I had a couple of products like really basic, like a little cheek tint that I would use if I really was like struggling to love myself that day, and I put just like a little cheek tint on, and that kind of made me feel a bit more comfortable and a bit like brighter and like, ah, I look cute. And also it's just good to like look through your makeup during this month at some point and think, does this hold positive energy? No matter how much makeup you have, no matter if you plan to be a person that just wants to be happy with your face but still wears makeup, go through your makeup and just think, does each item hold positive energy? Because a lot of my makeup for me, I had bought after when I used to drink a lot and things like that. Obviously I'm sober now. I lost all my makeup one night, and I went and I bought loads of, well, not all my makeup, I lost quite a bit of it, and I bought loads more, and so much of it held this negative connotation of like the necessity to buy makeup again. I just went through every piece and was like, does this hold positive energy? And if it didn't, I'd throw it in the bin until I literally just had like a few items that held really positive energy. The next tip that I have is bringing mindfulness into makeup. So this was something that was extremely, sorry, I'm thirsty as hell, boys. I think something that really helped me is that now that I do wear a little bit of makeup, because I think for me, again, my right path was that I didn't feel like I needed to anymore. So when I do wear it, I just want to express myself. It would just be like a bit of glitter because that's kind of like the cool makeup that I'd like. It was bringing mindfulness into every step. So when you're doing your makeup, to think, am I doing this because I feel like I need to? Am I doing this because I feel like it's a necessity, or does it really like make me happy to do this? And like be there with your makeup, and as you're applying it, you know, think about if it's bringing good, think about the good, and if it's not, you'll feel it. So there's like a nice mindfulness ball into it instead of like rushing through it and having to do it. Bear in mind like how you're doing it and why you're doing it, and if it's making you feel good, if you're doing it for necessity, and then you can kind of reflect on that and change. And I think that really does help, just kind of putting perspective into why you're wearing makeup, because then you're suddenly just like more aware of what you're doing and you don't feel like you're doing things on a whim. Also, buying makeup on a whim, don't just like go out and buy a makeup product. Like something that I think about now with everything though, because buying mindfully is also a very good thing to do in general, is that I sit on it and I'm like, do I really want this? Is this something that I really need? Is it something that I really feel like I want? And if it is, you know, you can buy it, you can think about it for 2 weeks. You know, you can just sit and you can question it, you just put more thought into it instead of just like doing it as like an everyday routine. Something else to be kind of more mindful is buy small branded ethical makeup and skincare, because I think that as well like instantly puts good intention. So for me, when I gave up my makeup, I pretty much got rid of all my makeup and gave quite a lot to my little sister. I kept a few palettes because I knew that I'd want to do some like fun eyeshadow occasionally, and I purchased 4 products. So I got some skincare, but then I got some nice products that were literally just like a mascara, a lip gloss, a cheek tint, and was that it? And I think that was it actually. I don't think I did buy anything else. But because they held so much more positive energy, because I knew that I was doing something positive with this makeup, it meant so much more to me. And obviously that's a privilege to be able to just like clear out your makeup and buy new ones, but then maybe just set a different intention with your makeup if you can't afford to buy anymore, and just keep like a few products that you feel good about and set just a new intention with them. So, and as well, just slow down with everything, slow down with the purchasing, slow down with the process. Got your whole life to work at this. So another thing that kind of helped me is basing my appearance off things that I love and not things that I think will look good. So again, this is something that is kind of in the self-identity working out part, which again now kind of feels like a very small part of my spiritual journey, but like was very important and monumental at the time. So I think something that I found really good, again, keeping a journal through your process of something like this is a great thing to do. I used a method called the if no one was watching method. So this is what you use to kind of mind map. You go, what would I wear if nobody was looking? And then you kind of mind map it down there. Like, how would my makeup look if nobody was looking? You know, what would I do if nobody was looking? How would my days look if everything was possible? That's kind of a bigger part of it. It's good for that to come after your first technique, so identifying why you're wearing makeup, because I think it's easier to see it a bit more clearly, but to just work out like why you're doing things and whether you would do things if no one was looking. I know that sounds very black and white the way that I'm explaining it, and it's more complicated because if you're somebody that doubts himself like me, in your head you're like, yes, but what if I've just pretended to like love this thing? And actually you just have to like listen to it. Like, be honest with yourself. Just be honest. Be like, do I actually like this? Like, do I actually want to do this? Spoken to people about this before, they were like, well, if nobody was watching, I'd just like, you know, walk around naked. But like, I don't think it's like that. I think it's more just like what aligns with you, you know, what is the best version of just you as you are at your core. If there was no limits, which half the time there is no limits, but we kind of believe that there is limits in places. Yeah, that's a really, really handy thing to do, and also kind of helps you work out what you really truly love, what really sparks your heart up. The reality of it is people can change, and people can one day be I'm like this and the next day be I'm like that, and even if you have to go through that notion to get to a good place with it, then that is totally fine. I think, yeah, it's just finding like what's fun and what you find like genuinely fun and what genuinely makes you happy. And my last tip that I've got for you guys, which is probably the most important, which helps me still on the daily now, is getting rid of self-limiting beliefs. I feel like the most handy tip I ever received was journaling your self-limiting beliefs. So carrying your journal with you, and you even doing this for 3 days for me, which is what I did it for, changed my whole opinion on self-limiting beliefs. And every time I have a self-limiting belief now, what I'll do is I'll write it down in my journal, I'll cross it out, and then I'll write something more positive. And that is what I started doing when I stopped wearing makeup. For 3 days, I was like, I'm just gonna do this for 3 days. Every single time I thought to myself, you can't do this because of that. If you stop wearing makeup, people will think that. Every self-limiting belief that I had, I would write down, I would cross it out, and I'd write the reality of it or something more positive. And it has to be more positive, and it has to be something that is like the truth of the scenario. We do get into these like habits of just like putting ourselves down and just believing that being taught to feel like we're not good enough through different scenarios. Nobody thinks worse of you. And that is something that I think, and again, practice what really holds like value to you and whether it actually aligns with how you're treating yourself. Something that I found really helpful for me was the fact that me and my little sister look really alike, and my little sister and my older sister both don't wear, like, they wear bare minimum makeup, like both of them. My little sister said to me like I think she's the most beautiful person in the world, and she's just like, how can you think that I'm this beautiful when we look so alike and you don't think that you look beautiful? And I was like, that's fucking true, Vivi, god damn you. So I think like when I realised that I was holding other people at different standards to myself, and even though it's really hard to like let that go, writing it down and trying to understand it and dissect it is a good thing to do. And just, why am I doing that? And do I want to do that forever? Do I want to spend years doing that? Or do I want to try and work at it now? And like everything, it's fucking hard. Like, it takes a while to be okay with yourself, and it takes probably periods of just being really upset, and then it takes periods of healing different parts of yourself and healing all these things that kind of make you insecure about yourself and just working through that. And it can be quite scary because suddenly you're like, for me, I realised that I was doing a bunch of stuff that was just for Instagram and that I didn't actually find like fun and rewarding, and I was just like, no, Harmony, you're not like this, you don't want to do this. And I just changed that up and made sure that I was doing things that really just felt right to me and really aligned with me. You don't have to solve this all in one day. You don't have to pick up and be like, I'm going to be happy with my face tomorrow. I guess that's kind of everything. I hope this didn't sound too preachy. Every time I do these videos, like the sober one, I was like, is this sounding too preachy? But I just hope you guys can get something out of this. Again, it's not about giving up makeup. It's not about not using it for expressionism. You can flow with it, and how you can manage to come to a better place with it, and how it may take like a bit of push and pull, and being happy and not being happy, and just being able to get to a better place with it, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some sort of handy tips or anything like that. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.
Makeup.